So we're talking about the Battle of Saratoga here. This is an interesting battle. Now the British knew that if they were really going to stop the Americans, they had to isolate the North from the South. That's why New York was so important. If they could conquer New York, they would essentially split the United States into two different pieces and stop one side from really communicating and sending supplies to the other. So this was important. Now, as part of that, too, they decided to come in from the north to really try to solidify that cutoff point between them. So, in 1777, gentleman Johnny Burgoyne led the British troops down from Quebec up in the north. And he went down and he retook Ticonderoga. Remember Ticonderoga? That's where they went and got the cannons. The Americans took really easy. Well, they came back and took that really easy back. But then they decided to march down towards New York and try to do a cutoff line to split the United States into two pieces. Now, as they marched, the Americans went to extreme measures to try to stop this because they knew how important it was to keep communications flowing between the North and the South. So as they marched, they would cut down trees and all sorts of things to stop in their path and start shooting and taking out the troops of the British. In fact, they did this so well, this kind of guerrilla warfare where they would sneak up, attack, and then run away. They'd cut down a tree, they'd have to go around it. That would slow down the march, and as they slowed down the march, they would stop and shoot down the British troops. This was a huge, huge success for the Americans to whittle down the forces. When by the time they got down to Saratoga, there were only 6,000 soldiers left, which was a great way to put them down. And help the Americans have a leg up in the battle. Now, when they got to Saratoga, New York, Horatio Gates and his army, the colonists, met them there. And they had two major battles. Now, Johnny Burgoyne, leading the British troops down, he was sure that General Howe was going to send some troops up north to help. So they thought they would be coming together from both sides, and eventually they'd meet up and help. However, that didn't happen. They got stuck in Saratoga, and in Saratoga, they had two major battles. The first battle, the Americans just did very well and fought them back and beat the British. And then the second battle, when Burgoyne thought that there were going to be reinforcements to come help him out, they never showed up. So the Americans actually took him over, and Gentleman Burgoyne ended up surrendering at Saratoga to the Americans. This was a huge victory, a turning point in the war, because they were able to really go on head on and take on the British troops and make them surrender here at Saratoga. So this is one of the first times, one of those turning points of the war where the Americans were really able to take over and set some things going their way. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention, this turning point of the war where the Americans were able to beat the British at Saratoga, this was so helpful because it proved to the French that America could really take on the British forces. And this was the battle that helped the French decide that they would get involved and help the Americans. So by beating the British at Saratoga, not only did they get a great battle victory, but they also got a good ally with the French. The French started sending troops and supplies and money to help the Americans, which really became a turning point in the war and helped them win. All because of this victory right here in Saratoga.